You ever have that one neighbor who makes your whole life feel like a bad reality show? Only there's no remote to turn it off? Yeah, welcome to my street. And at the center of the circus, you guessed it, is Karen. Not just any Karen, either. We're talking HOA Karen, the queen bee of rule enforcement, whose idea of a fun Saturday is measuring grass with a ruler and reporting you if your trash bins are out for more than 4 seconds. But honestly, Karen's not even the worst part of this story. The real headache is her son. Let's just call him Chad, because of course his name is Chad, right? Now, Chad's got this hobby, and it's not stamp collecting, believe me. It's blocking my driveway, over and over, like it's his own private parking lot. At first, it was just a car, parked a little too close. Annoying, but whatever, right? But Chad, he's got ambition. Soon it's his truck, then his buddy's Jeep, then a friend's beater sedan, all perfectly blocking my only exit, like he's laying siege to my house. One morning, I step out, coffee steaming in my hand, ready to head to a job site, and boom, Chad's truck is sitting there, center stage, like some kind of art installation called Obnoxious Youth Ruins My Morning. That was the day my patience finally snapped. Now, before you go judging me, let me set the scene. My driveway isn't just a place to park my truck. It's my whole business: construction, deliveries, heavy equipment, you name it. Time is money, and thanks to Chad's creative parking, I'd already missed 3 client calls and taken a $500 hit for late delivery. That's not just annoying, that's personal. And here's the kicker. Karen and her little HOA minions, they treat Chad like he's the golden child. She could probably run a red light with a HOA president bumper sticker and get a standing ovation. So, I'm standing there, staring at Chad's big dumb truck, thinking, how do I make this kid understand? Really, deeply understand, that you do not mess with my driveway? I tried the notes, tried knocking on their door, even called the HOA once for laughs. All useless. Karen's got that whole board wrapped around her perfectly manicured finger. That's when it hit me. An idea equal parts wild and, frankly, delicious. Why yell when I've got a perfectly good excavator sitting in the yard? You want to block my driveway? Fine. I'll just have to park somewhere else, like right on top of your life. Yeah, I know how that sounds. But sometimes, desperate times call for heavy machinery. I spent the next hour making sure everything was safe. Well, safe is a strong word. Then I fired up my excavator. Let me tell you, that machine's not just a tool. It's a statement piece. The engine roared to life, every neighbor peeking out their windows like prairie dogs. With the whole street as my audience, I maneuvered it, slow, steady, unstoppable, straight onto Chad's roof. You should have seen Karen's face. Actually, you probably can if you check social media. Neighbors were out with phones, recording every second. I swear I heard gasps echo across the street. The sound of metal on shingles, pure chaos. Karen comes storming out in her robe and heels, yelling like she's got a direct line to the president. "What are you doing?" she shrieks, her voice cracking. Chad's just standing there, jaw on the ground, eyes bugging out. He looks like he's about to faint, honestly. Meanwhile, I'm just sitting up there in the cab, acting like I'm checking an instruction manual, cool as ice while Karen's blood pressure breaks records. And here's the twist. Half the neighbors are horrified, the other half are straight up rooting for me. I catch one guy filming with a huge grin, whispering, "About time someone did something." Of course, there's the pearl clutchers whispering about lawsuits and insurance. But the best is the HOA president, shows up with her clipboard like she's about to negotiate a hostage situation. Karen is ranting about rules and property values while Chad's panicking, probably imagining me driving off with the roof as a souvenir. I won't lie, there's a moment where I wonder if I've gone too far. But then Chad shouts, "You're gonna pay for this," and I realize this is the first time he's actually understood what it feels like to be powerless. That's when the phone calls start. Karen, the HOA, then finally the HOA's lawyer. "Sir, this is a formal notice regarding property damage and potential legal action, blah blah blah." I'm barely listening. The whole street has split into factions, Team Bulldoze and Team Lawsuit. And I'm just sitting there thinking, what would Chad have done if the roles were reversed? Probably nothing. Because guys like Chad don't expect consequences. They're used to hiding behind their mom, the HOA, the rules they bend for themselves. So I let the tension build, every movement of the excavator arm making everyone flinch. Chad threatens, Karen shouts, the lawyer drones on. But me? I'm having the time of my life. All those missed calls, lost jobs, the stress, suddenly feels worth it just to watch them scramble. But let me back up a sec, because here comes the unexpected plot twist. Out of nowhere, Mrs. Collins, who's lived 3 houses down since the Reagan years, walks right up to Karen and says, "Maybe if you taught your boy some manners, we wouldn't be here." You could hear a pin drop. Even Karen's mouth hung open, which is impressive since she's usually talking. It's like the whole neighborhood finally woke up and remembered that rules work both ways. Suddenly, I'm not the only one tired of Karen's reign of terror. Now, I'm not an idiot. I know the law's not exactly on my side with the whole excavator on roof stunt. So after a couple hours of drama and a mountain of angry phone calls, I carefully maneuver my big yellow beast back down to solid ground. No damage except a few bruised egos and maybe some broken shingles. The mailman, who'd stopped at the end of the block to watch, actually gives me a thumbs up before driving away. But the story doesn't end with just a wild stunt. See, the best revenge isn't about destruction, it's about respect. Over the next week, I dig into every HOA rule, every city code, and, armed with more knowledge than any of those clipboard warriors, I make sure every permit, every inch of my property, is untouchable. Karen comes storming over with a stack of paperwork, waving it in my face, calls me a vandal, a menace, even accuses me of moral decay. I just grin and say, or maybe I'm just teaching your son what consequences look like. You can tell it lands, too. Chad doesn't even make eye contact anymore. He parks at the curb like a model citizen. Karen paces her yard, phone glued to her ear, probably calling the governor, but she can't touch me. Even the HOA lawyer gives up after a few rounds of legal ping-pong. Turns out, knowing the rules better than they do is the real power play. Funny thing is, after the dust settles, the neighborhood feels different, calmer. Neighbors actually wave. Kids ride bikes again. And that cloud of Karen's intimidation finally lifts. Did I go overboard? Maybe. But sometimes, you have to speak the language of stubborn people to get through. And sometimes, the only way to fight petty is with a little creative chaos. So, let me ask you. If someone kept blocking your driveway, costing you time, money, and peace of mind, what would you do? Would you go full excavator or play it safe? Drop your wildest ideas or real-life HOA nightmares in the comments. I want to hear them. And hey, if you got a kick out of this story, smash that like button, subscribe for more, and let's keep this wild ride going. Justice, revenge, or just plain old entertainment, whatever you call it, sometimes you've got to remind the Karens of the world. You mess with the bull, you get the horns.